Welcome to the English Story Well channel, your ultimate destination for captivating stories that enhance your English learning journey. Here, we believe that stories are not just a form of entertainment, but a powerful tool to improve your language skills. Let's go to started.
The first pet. When I was 7 years old, I got my first pet. It was a small, fluffy kitten with bright blue eyes. I named her Snowball because her fur was as white as snow. Snowball was very playful and liked to chase after anything that moved. She would run around the house, jumping on furniture and batting at toys with her tiny paws. I loved Snowball very much. She was my first friend, and I took care of her every day. I made sure she had food and water, and I always cleaned her litter box. Snowball liked to sit on my lap while I did my homework, purring softly as I petted her. Snowball taught me a lot about responsibility. I learned how to take care of another living being, and I felt proud of myself for doing a good job. Snowball and I became best friends, and I couldn't imagine my life without her. A new friend for Snowball. A few years later, when I was 10, my parents decided to get another pet. They thought it would be good for Snowball to have a friend to play with. So, we went to the animal shelter to look for a new pet. At the shelter, there were many animals looking for a home. There were dogs, cats, rabbits, and even some birds. But one dog caught my eye. He was a small, brown dog with big, floppy ears and a wagging tail. He looked up at me with his big brown eyes, and I knew he was the one. We adopted the dog and brought him home. I named him Max. Max was very friendly and loved to play. He and Snowball became friends quickly. They would chase each other around the house and play with their toys together. Max was different from Snowball in many ways. He was a dog, so he needed to go for walks every day. I enjoyed taking Max for walks in the park. He loved to run around and explore, sniffing everything in sight. Max was also very protective of me. He would bark if he heard a strange noise or if someone came to the door. Having Max as a pet taught me even more about responsibility. I had to make sure he was walked, fed, and had enough exercise. But I didn't mind because Max was a great companion, and I loved him very much. The fish tank adventure. One day, when I was 12, my parents surprised me with a fish tank. It was a big glass tank with a filter and lights. I was so excited. I had never had fish before, and I couldn't wait to fill the tank with colorful fish. We went to the pet store and bought everything we needed: gravel for the bottom of the tank, plants to decorate it, and, of course, fish. I chose different kinds of fish. Some were small and colorful, while others were bigger and had long, flowing fins. My favorite fish was a bright blue betta fish that I named Bluey. Taking care of the fish was different from taking care of Snowball and Max. The fish didn't need to be walked or played with, but they needed clean water and food. I learned how to clean the tank and make sure the water was safe for the fish. I also had to be careful not to overfeed them because too much food could make the water dirty. Watching the fish swim around the tank was very relaxing. Bluey liked to swim near the top of the tank, while the other fish swam around the plants and rocks. The fish tank became a beautiful and peaceful part of our home, and I enjoyed taking care of it. A feathered friend. When I was 14, I decided I wanted a bird. I had always loved the sound of birds singing, and I thought it would be nice to have a bird at home. After talking to my parents, we went to the pet store to look for a bird. At the pet store, there were many birds to choose from. There were parakeets, canaries, and even some bigger birds like parrots. I decided on a small, colorful parakeet. It had green and yellow feathers and a sweet, chirping voice. I named the parakeet Sunny because its colors reminded me of the sun. Sunny was a happy bird. It loved to sing and chirp, especially in the morning. I enjoyed listening to Sunny's songs as I got ready for school. I also liked to talk to Sunny, and sometimes it would chirp back at me, as if it understood what I was saying. Taking care of Sunny was different from taking care of my other pets. Sunny needed a clean cage, fresh water, and birdseed. I also gave Sunny some fruits and vegetables as treats. Sunny loved to eat apples and carrots. Sunny's cage was in the living room, where it could see everything that was going on. Sometimes, I would let Sunny out of the cage to fly around the room. Sunny was very careful and always returned to the cage when it was time to rest. Sunny brought a lot of joy to our home. Its cheerful songs made everyone smile, and I was happy to have such a lovely pet. A hamster's world. When I turned 16, I wanted a small pet that I could keep in my room. After thinking about it, I decided to get a hamster. Hamsters are small, furry animals that are easy to take care of and fun to watch. I went to the pet store and picked out a cute little hamster. It had soft brown fur and tiny black eyes. I named it Nibbles because it liked to nibble on everything, especially its food. I bought a cage for Nibbles and filled it with bedding, a water bottle, and a wheel for exercise. I also gave Nibbles some toys to play with, like a small tunnel and a ball. Nibbles loved to run on the wheel and explore its cage. Taking care of Nibbles was easy. I made sure it had fresh food and water every day, and I cleaned its cage once a week. Nibbles was a very active hamster, especially at night. It would run on the wheel for hours, and sometimes I could hear it while I was trying to sleep. Nibbles also liked to be held. I would pick it up gently and let it run around on my hand. Nibbles was very curious and liked to explore, but it was always careful not to fall. Having Nibbles as a pet was a lot of fun. It was small and cute, and I loved watching it play in its cage. Nibbles became a special part of my life, and I enjoyed taking care of it. The rabbit adventure. When I was 17, my friend gave me a rabbit as a gift. The rabbit was white with long ears and a fluffy tail. I named the rabbit Whiskers because it had long whiskers that twitched when it was curious. Whiskers was a very gentle and friendly rabbit. It loved to hop around the house and explore. I made sure to give Whiskers plenty of space to run and play. I also gave it fresh vegetables like carrots, lettuce, and spinach to eat. Taking care of Whiskers was different from taking care of my other pets. Rabbits need a lot of space to move around. So I made a special area in the living room for Whiskers to play. I also made sure Whiskers had a clean and comfortable bed to sleep in. Whiskers loved to be petted. It would sit quietly while I stroked its soft fur. Sometimes, Whiskers would even fall asleep in my lap. Whiskers was a very calm and gentle pet, and I loved spending time with it. One day, I decided to take Whiskers to the park. I put a harness on Whiskers so that it wouldn't run away, and we walked to the park together. Whiskers was very curious and loved to sniff the grass and flowers. It even made friends with a few other animals in the park. Whiskers became a very important part of my life. It was a calm and loving pet, and I enjoyed taking care of it every day, a home full of love. As the years went by, I realized that my pets were more than just animals, they were family. Each pet had its own personality and brought something special to my life. Snowball, my first pet, was still with me. She had grown older and was not as playful as she used to be, but she still liked to sit on my lap and purr. Max, my dog, had also grown older, but he was still full of energy and loved to go for walks. The fish in the tank were still swimming happily, and Sunny, my parakeet, continued to sing every morning. Nibbles, my hamster, was still as active as ever, running on its wheel and exploring its cage. And Whiskers, my rabbit, was still hopping around the house, always curious and gentle. My home was full of love and happiness. Each of my pets had a special place in my heart, and I took care of them with all my love. They made my life richer and more joyful, and I couldn't imagine my life without them. Learning from my pets, having so many pets taught me a lot about life. I learned about responsibility, love, and compassion. Taking care of my pets was a big responsibility, but it was also very rewarding. I learned that animals have feelings too. They need love, care, and attention just like people do. Each of my pets had its own way of showing love. Snowball would purr when she was happy.